Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I'm your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your breakfast bankroll. Closing bell. How time flies. For Wednesday, February 16th, 2022, as myself and Scott try to take you through today's sports market as we get closer to tip off and face off. As you can see today, I am not in the normal studios. I am in Storrs, Connecticut, as we are live here as we get ready for an 8:30 tip off between the Seton Hall Pirates and the UConn Huskies. Currently, UConn 5.5 opened at 5 overnight 2 nights ago. It's at 5.5, probably some sixes around. I'll talk about that game. Mixed emotions. Seton Hall beat UConn in the first game in OT. It was a shootout at the OK Corral. Big week for UConn. Game tonight against Seton Hall. The game Saturday against Xavier, and then Tuesday at the XL Center against Villanova. But without further ado, let's bring in the man from sunny, warm Tampa himself, the one, the only, Mr. Scott E. Webb. Good afternoon, Scotty.
Yes, sir, Jeff. It is nice here today. Actually, when I just got back from walking the dogs not too long ago, and there are people in the pool, so it is wonderful here in Florida.
Well, I'm glad. It's dark and dreary. It's not that cold. Tomorrow is supposed to get 60 in Boston and the high 50s on the Cape. So we're going to get a melt.
Shorts and a T-shirt.
Exactly. I'll be sweating my you-know-what. Might have to bring the ACs back from the dead from this past summer and fall. Aboard today, like I said, we're not in our normal studios. You got your spreadsheets. I got mine. A decent-sized board, both NBA, college, and NHL. We did not have the breakfast bankroll this morning. We had Andrew McGinnis come on. I talked about a few things there. There was a hockey game that really got me. I sent out an alert to the ECSI VIP crew early this morning to buy early on a Edmonton Oilers, a line that just keeps jumping and jumping. The debut of Jack Eichel for Vegas tonight, but Vegas opened up short favorites overnight, and let's just say by face-off, I think the Avalanche will be minus 140. We got them at 125, something like that, and talked about an over in college. I talked about the Buffalo game yesterday, and they had played already, Buffalo and Bowling Green, and they scored almost 200 points. The over opened at 160, closed at 163. They scored almost 200 points. Well, we got the identical in college today. Gonzaga this time travels to Pepperdine. Here's why I discount Gonzaga. 33-point favorites on the road in a conference game. I mean, listen, no disrespect. I know you guys are good, but I mean, a conference game. This is like a vintage UConn women's game where they traveled somewhere and were 33-point favorites. Gonzaga scored 117 points at home against this team last time. The under-over opened at 160. We got that out at around 162, 163. It's at 164 or 165. So that's what we're already looking at today. But the board is yours, the NBA board. Take it away, my brother.
Yeah, yesterday I had two plays. I had Miami at home yesterday against Dallas. Those magic numbers for them, if they're anywhere with 3, 4 up to 6, 6.5, they're pretty good. And they were in that range yesterday, and they got beat yesterday. Not only did they not cover the game, I mean, they didn't win. So they were a loser yesterday, but the game that did come through is the Memphis game. That was the one I was a little worried about, only because the way the betting structure was going. Brother was on Memphis yesterday, but Memphis came through, no problem. Today, there's 11 games on the board, and that's not always the case in the NBA. And I think these are wrapping up these games. These are some of the last games they're going to be playing before the All-Star break. So I think most of these teams are not going to be taking a break during this games. I think they're going to try to play pretty hard. So they're not going to be playing again for a little while. So I like the idea that there's some value that I'm showing. And one of the games is just a crappy game, Jeff. I mean, Washington goes and plays at Indiana today, and Washington has been horrible, and Indiana has been not so good either. However, I don't quite get the line here. This line opened as a pick'em for Indiana. It was a pick'em in all day today. It's -1 now for Indiana. I played Indiana as a pick'em, but I'm going to list it on here as a -1 because that's not fair to say, hey, I played this game as a pick'em. I'm going to tell you I played it as a -1. So there's a couple of reasons here. My numbers come out, obviously, that I think Indiana is the better side here. But looking at the last 2 weeks, and in the last 2 weeks, Indiana is 16th in offense. That's pretty good considering they're a really bad team. So, there's 30 teams in the NBA, so they're right smack in the middle. They average 113 points a game, basically. And the Washington Wizards, they rank 26th in offense over the last 2 weeks. They're struggling to score points. They're averaging about 106 points a game, and they're playing really bad defense. Washington ranks 25th on defense out of 30 teams, and yet this team is only 1 point in a pick'em scenario. Now, you still respect the line, or it's out there for a reason. But my numbers came in pretty heavy on Indiana, and I played them. It says -8. Indiana should be a pretty decent sized favorite today, and we're getting a pretty good value, I believe, with that. So I'm playing Indiana -1. Then I played 2 other games, Jeff. I played Minnesota today. And Minnesota's playing Toronto, and yes, I get it. Toronto's been a little bit of a juggernaut lately, but they are in a spot here where they're playing Minnesota, who's a different team than what they've been playing against. Toronto has played the 25th easiest schedule in the last 5 days, and Minnesota has played average schedule. So they're right around 15, 16, 17 in that neighborhood. So the teams they've been playing has been a little bit better. So I like the idea that we're getting a little bit of a discount because people look at the numbers and just go, this team's better. Well, you got to consider who they're playing to a degree. And I like the idea that we can take Minnesota, who opened as a 1-point favorite today, and now they are a 2-point underdog. So I'm going against the steam here, and I'm going to take Minnesota plus the 2 points at home. My number says Minnesota should be the favorite anyway, -5. So I like Minnesota in that one. And the last one that I played is I got to go against the Lakers. I think the Lakers suck, and I'm going to take Utah today. Utah is I'm going to hit the button here. Utah is now the number 2 NBA team against the spread over the last 2 weeks. They are plus 10 points against the spread, and they are the number 1 offense in basketball. They're scoring 124 points a game, and they are the number 3 defense. They're giving up 102 points a game. And if you go back and you go find the Los Angeles Lakers, they're down the line a little bit. They are the 18th best offense and the 14th best defense. I think that this is a game that sets up for Utah. And looking at it, I don't like to bet Utah when Gobert doesn't play, and he's playing. And looking at who's playing for the Lakers, it's a toss-up whether LeBron James plays at all. So I kind of like the idea here that we're going to be able to beat up on this Lakers team that is in a spot that they're they're dysfunctional right now. So I would rather play on a team that's got their act together. They're the number 2 best team in basketball in terms of covering spreads. Boston, Utah, and then Memphis are the top 3 teams right now in the NBA.
Oh, for our show last night,
We're declining incoming calls.
I have to talk. We got gifted. We had the old 240.
That would be a bad beat for most people. That would be on the other side of that. But hey, it's great to be on the good side of it.
But if you don't look into the stats, there were 26 missed free throws in that game. So I'm not saying listen, I'm taking the gift because it never happens. So it got to overtime and they scored 29 points in overtime. We'll take it. But it was comical that there was, 26 free throws missed there. And on the show, as Lucky, our friend, Mr. Fade himself, was pointing out, we crushed it. We had an amazing night here on the college hoops. We were spot on a handful. Go back on our timeline and look. I mean, there was just boatloads that we talked about that came, cashing in at the window. So anyone new here, turn on the notifications. Go to EC Sports Invest. Go to Webby 20 MLB. We do these shows, the closing bell, hopefully every 4:30 each day. If you miss any shows, go over to YouTube at East Coast Sports Investors, and you can watch any replay there. In the college hoops, it's a decent slate. It doesn't jump out like it did yesterday. There's some good games. At 6:30, rotation number 675, 676, St. John's at Xavier. A number that opened at 8.5 is steadily down to 7.5. I'm showing 78% of the bets, 97% of the money, Scott, coming in on St. John's.
Yeah, this one is, I guess, kind of heavily bet. There's $51,000 on the game. There's no big bet games in college basketball today. This one's 50,000. There's a couple 70,000s, but that's it for now. Anyway, this is 61% of the money on St. John's, 65% of the tickets on St. John's.
I think that it was a high number for a reason, and I talked a lot yesterday about that. The one game that I talked about that did not come in was Duke opened at 11, closed at 9. Krzyzewski didn't coach the second half of the game. Duke was up by 15, 16, and they almost lost the game. Here again, I think the opening number makes the statement. It was at 8.5, attracting all the St. John's money. Slight lean to Xavier here, if you can catch that at 7 or less. This one's kind of intriguing. A 7 o'clock start, rotation number 681, 682. George Mason at St. Joe's. George Mason opened up 2.5, now 2. I thought Mason would be attracting a lot more money, but I'm showing St. Joe's 62% of the bets, 81% of the money.
Yeah, this one's $5,700, so very, very little bet. But 62% of the money's on George Mason, and 54% of the tickets is on St. Joseph's.
All right, so that'd be conflicting information. Stay away. All right, here's the darling. Now, Rutgers did something for the first time in history. Everyone has to realize this. They beat 3 straight ranked teams. And if my memory serves me correct, they beat Michigan State at home, then they beat Ohio State at home, and then Saturday they traveled to Wisconsin and won. Okay, so they got everyone's attention. Today they face an Illinois team. Rotation number 685, 686. Illinois at Rutgers. Illinois opened at 4.5, now 4. My numbers show 52% of the bets, 66% of the money coming in on Illinois, and yet the line is dropped from 4.5 to 4. If that is correct, that would be reverse line movement in our eyes.
Yeah, this doesn't show it that way. There's $72,000 bet. So this is one of the biggest basketball games in college that's on here. And this is showing 54% of the money is on Rutgers and 55% of the tickets is on Illinois. So almost a split.
If you want my gut here, I think Rutgers is a trap today. I think they did their 3 games, and Saturday, 7-point underdogs at Wisconsin and won. I think Illinois will be a good first half. I think Illinois leans on them, and they cover the 4 here. Under over opened at 133, now 135. I think the magic number for Rutgers tonight will be in that 68, 69, 70 range, and I think they'll get there. So I lean Illinois here minus the 4. I'm not going to get – listen, I'm not saying run to the window and bet the mortgage on this one, but I just think Rutgers has had a great 3-game run. I think there's got to be a letdown after the Wisconsin game. I look for a good first half, but I look for Illinois to pull away in the second half.
Well, Jeff, in those spots like that, these teams, they have confidence that they go into these games with because they've beaten these opponents. But at the same time, it's kind of like what you said. This is not a team that's not going to be recognized as someone that can beat them. And the opponent now is going to take them on as a challenge as opposed to just an also ran that, that shows up. So when the opponent's ready to play, it's a different story.
Yeah, and Illinois is not coming in and saying this is the old Rutgers and they're going to just lay down. So I think Illinois will be ready for the challenge. UMass at St. Bonnie's, 687, 688. I talked to a few people today. Listen, in our business, it's our eyes. We're trained to read the market. There's a lot of reverse line movements. There's a lot of bad teams that hit the system. And as you and I know, if you can hit 52% of them in the long term, you're going to win money. Now, there comes a point where you got to wave the white flag. The South Floridas of the world, the Georgetowns of the world, the UMasses of the world. I like to say I'm not going to get the old banana in the tailpipe. Okay, so I'm not telling you to run to the window to bet St. Bonnie's. It's gone from 10.5 to 11.5. I'm seeing 75% of the bets, 96% of the money on UMass. Is that right? No.
Yeah, no. This shows $12,000, so not a big bet game, but 63% of the money on St. Bonaventure, 52% of the tickets are showing on UMass.
Yeah, just stay away. No need to go down those lanes. Next game, 689, 690, Georgia at LSU. Again, a Georgia team that's pretty bad this year. LSU, which started off the season 11 or 12-0, has come back down to earth. Yet, if you look here, Vegas is saying not so fast. Georgia's actually covered a few games and actually won a few games as big dogs. So this game opened at 18 down to 16. 54% of the bets, 74% of the money on LSU.
Yeah, this shows 59% of the money, 58% of the tickets on LSU.
So there'd be clear reverse line movement here. Opened at 18, down to 16. I'm not backing any bad teams tonight. So wager on your own on that game. But there is reverse line movement on Georgia. 691, 692, Mississippi State at Alabama. Which Alabama team will show up? Which Mississippi State team will show up? A line that opened at 5.5, currently 6. It's 6.5 at South Point. 83% of the bets, 92% of the money on Roll Tide.
Well, I don't understand, but this has got $75,000 bet on this game. It's one of the biggest bet games on the board in college basketball. And we talked about SEC yesterday, and nobody was betting SEC games. That Georgia game with LSU only has $14,000 bet on it. But in this case, we got 83% of the money, 84% of the tickets on Alabama.
So I guess they think down south in SECville that someone thinks, or a lot of people think, that the sharpshooting Roll Tide will roll. I mean, these guys aren't afraid to launch 30, 35, 43s in a game. And if they're hitting, forget about it. You're not going to beat them. And they've already knocked off Gonzaga and Baylor, I think it was this year. So be careful there. Rotation number 693, 694, Miami at Louisville. This game kind of surprised me here. Miami opens up a 1.5 point favorite. Now 2. It's at 1.5 at Westgate and South Point as well. We know the rise and fall from Louisville. Chris Mack gets relieved of his job. This team gutted us about 10 days ago. Another one of those teams I'm not going to go to the well for. And a Miami team that, if shows up, should take care of business. But 74% of the bets, 78% of the money coming in on Miami. It is an actual line freeze. Again, my eyes are trained to say I definitely would lean Louisville here. If you wanted to bet Louisville tonight, I would suggest a first half play.
Yeah, 72% of the money, 81% of the tickets on Miami, and it's $57,000. So it's a pretty popular game.
Again, if you want Louisville tonight, I'd suggest going first half. I wouldn't suggest going full game there. BC travels to Notre Dame, rotation number 695, 696. Another bad team, BC here. Notre Dame, who plays very well at home, but opened up at 10.5 as a flat 9, and that's even with 65% of the bets and 71% of the money on Notre Dame.
Yeah, 86% of the money, 89% of the tickets on Notre Dame.
Reverse line movement. I'm not telling you to run to the window and bet BC. I'm not backing bad teams here today, but there is reverse line movement on Boston College. One second here. We have Little error on the iPad. There we go. Thank you for your patience. I'm going to go down to Georgetown and Marquette, rotation number 707, 708. Marquette opened at 13, now 12.5 at Westgate. 54% of the bets, 53% of the money is on Georgetown.
Yeah, I don't show that at all. This is $26,000, so not that much wagered on it so far, but it's showing 76% of the money, 57% of the tickets on Marquette.
Georgetown, we had them plus 11 on Monday, down 17 at half, then 22 in the second half. Got it to 6 with 2 minutes to go, and it lands on 11. Thanks, but no thanks. Pat hasn't won a Big East game all year. He will not be there next year, trust me. I'm staying away, but people think that Georgetown's the side there. Pitt, North Carolina, no thanks. All right. To my game tonight, 8:30 tip-off, rotation number 715, 716. Seton Hall travels to UConn. Line opened at 5.5. Currently 5.5. I'll tell you, 2 nights ago when it opened up, it was a flat 5. There's only one way this number was going to go, was up. As a season ticket holder, this team hasn't been double digits. They've been double digits or more, 9, 9.5 at the least, if not 10, 11. They've already played Seton Hall. They lost in overtime. It was a barn burner up and down. The under-overs at a 137.5, now 136. 50% of the bets, 68% of the money on UConn.
Yeah, $36,000 bet on this one. 57% of the money, 63% of the tickets on UConn.
I'm scared shitless here, guys. It's a great revenge spot. I'd feel more comfortable if this was 7 or 8. I think it's going to be a war. I think UConn wins. I don't trust the 5.5. I don't. I think this will probably end up being a 2 or 3 point game. I hope UConn wins by double digits. I hope they're up by 40 so I can leave with 10 minutes left so I can get home by 2 in the morning. But that's another story. Purdue at Northwestern, rotation number 719, 720. Purdue opens up at 5.5, now 6. 80% of the bets, 54% of the money, all on Purdue.
Yeah, this shows 73% of the money, 90% of the tickets on Purdue.
I just say buyer beware here. That number's too low. I'd feel more comfortable with a Purdue minus 7 or 8. Purdue's a wagon. They come to play. They're going to beat you up. They're going to win by double digits. I think it's a trap, if you want my honest truth. I would lean Northwestern plus the 6. Even if you're feeling froggy, sprinkle a little beer and pizza on them. You could probably get them plus 175, 180 on the money line. All right, another revenge spot. Rotation number 723, 724. Baylor at Texas Tech. Texas Tech stopped Baylor's winning streak earlier this year and won in Baylor. 9 p.m. start. Texas Tech opened at 1, is now 1.5 at Circa, 2 at Westgate, 1.5 at South Point. 63% of the bets, 57% of the money on Texas Tech.
Well, this one's amazing, Jeff, because this one stands out like a big red flag. There is $200,000 bet on this game. It is by far the biggest bet game in the college basketball games. It is also more than any of the NBA games, and most of them are over 100,000. It's the only one over 100,000 in the college basketball ranks. Anyway, that being said, 84% of the money is on Texas Tech. 51% of the tickets are on Baylor.
If you want my honest truth, Texas Tech is playing better than Baylor right now. They've already beat them once. Texas Tech has been a beast at home. But those numbers, I would have to say, Scott, there has to be some respected money there. There has to be some big bags there. Listen, you don't get to 200,000 with $100 bets.
Nope.
So I would have to say there's probably quite a bit of 5 figures, maybe even a 6-figure in there on Texas Tech. I will just tell you, be careful. I would be more happy with you guys grabbing some pizza, popcorn, maybe a couple cold ones, and enjoy this game because that's too heavy of a game. Scott, thank you for bringing that up. I mean, listen, when there's 25,000, when there's 10,000, when there's only 100,000 on some NBA games, and there's 200,000 on this game, something's up. Something's up. And as he said, what was the percentage on Texas Tech?
84% of the money.
Okay. And let me just ask you this. 84% of the money, okay? The line opened at 1, and it's only 1.5 or even 2. That line should have jumped to 4 or 5. Correct or incorrect?
Should have went up a lot because if you think about the risk, right, and there's $200,000, and if it was just 80% for simple math, that's $160,000 of that $200,000 is on Texas Tech. So why wouldn't you move the number to get more money on Baylor to offset that risk? And in this case, they're not doing that. So that tends for me to believe that your sportsbook side is saying, hey, I think Baylor's going to win the game outright.
100%. 100%. If I was to play this game, I'd play Baylor plus the 2. Probably get them around plus 110, 112, 115 on the money line. If I know this, if I was the book and someone dropped $150,000, this line would be 3.5, 4. I'd be out there. I'd have guys out there with cardboard signs. Come bet Baylor. Come bet Baylor, please. We need some help. But be careful on that one, guys. Any questions on that one, please DM us. Hit our timelines up. We'll talk to you till the cows come home on that one.
They're showing minus 130s and minus 135s for Texas Tech on the money line, by the way.
I tell you, we had Tennessee last night on the money line, and there was some 130s and 135s. We got in at 127. They were 1.5, 2, exactly like yesterday's game. As you know, and everyone here knows, I hate to leave points just in case of that walk-off 3 that we've gotten burnt on before this year. There's some people out there, obviously, that think Texas Tech's winning this one. So, hey, hats off to you. I mean, it's going to be the game of the night. So have fun with that one. Rotation number 727, 728, SMU at Temple. SMU opened at 4.5, now 5. 67% of the bets, 97% of the money all coming in on SMU.
Yeah, this is 23,000 on this game, and 74% of the money, 87% of the tickets on SMU.
Okay. 10:30 start, 7:33, 7:34 on your rotation. UNLV at Fresno State. Fresno State opened at 5.5, now flat 6 at the Vegas Strip. 58% of the bets, 54% of the money is on Fresno State.
I'm showing a reverse line movement here, Jeff. $24,000 bet on this game. 59% of the money, 64% of the tickets on UNLV.
Okay, so Scotty's got reverse line movement on Fresno State. If you were here earlier this morning with myself and Andrew, I talked about Gonzaga and Pepperdine. I talked about it when the show started. 117 points put up by Gonzaga first game at home. Now they travel to Pepperdine. They opened up 29.5-point favorites. They're 30.5 at Circa and Westgate, 31 at South Point. The total's what caught our eyes. It opened at 160, now 164 or 163.5. We jumped on the over. Now, listen, if you're breaking down the actual numbers here and taking the over, which we've already released and I've already played, it's not as easy as it seems because you got a 30-point favorite here. Okay, so Gonzaga's got to get to close to 100, and Pepperdine's got to get close to 70. So I don't know if Pepperdine can get close to 70. That's what I sent out in the alert. I was like, I hope Pepperdine scores today because I can't count on Gonzaga obviously scoring 117. They could come in already knowing this is a layup. They could sleepwalk through the first 30 minutes and still beat this team by 20. So we took the over here. But again, listen, number 1 ranked team in the country, I get it, but there's no way a team should be a 30 or 31-point favorite on the road in conference play.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it happens in every sport. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's football or if it's college football or if it's NFL or baseball. If you're playing divisional games, you play these opponents way more often than the other schools do. So they know you inside out, upside down, and backwards. They know your personnel. They know how they match up, and they know how to attack that because they play so often. So 30 points is a lot in a conference game.
I'm going to throw a small school there. I don't know if you got it on there. It's rotation number 306-161, Winthrop at Gardner-Webb. Gardner-Webb opened at 4. Our buddy Derek Stevens and Mr. Metcalf and Jeffrey Benson dropped that to 2.5. I got a 3 at Westgate and a 3.5 at DraftKings. My point is there's been some respected money coming in at the Circa on Winthrop. Do you have any numbers there?
What's the game number?
306-161.
No, I have some added games, but these are 150. And these are here. All right, so they just have a different number for it. It's 161, 162 on over here, and I have the game, but I'm not showing any money bet on it. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games ahead of it that started at 7 That has a trickle of money, like NC Asheville, Charlottesville has like $250. I mean, like these are like minuscule bets.
All right, like I said, I kind of keep my eyes on Circa. It's the most respected book in my eyes in the Vegas Strip. No, whatever to my friends at South Point. And obviously at the Superbook, who will see all 3 of them in 27 days, by the way. Who's counting? But keep an eye on Winthrop today, plus the 2.5, 3.5 at Gardner-Webb. In the pucks,
it just popped up with the money. Somebody bet $275 on that game, Jeff.
On which side?
Looks like they bet on Gardner-Webb. 100% of the money, 100% of the tickets are on Gardner-Webb.
Well, they must not be listening to the show. That's all. So, hockey tonight. The 2 games that really stuck out to us. I found this one intriguing. Rotation number 29 and 30. Florida at Carolina. Carolina opens up minus 115. Now it's a pick 'em at 105, 105. 54% of the bets, 87% of the money on Florida.
Now, this shows 65% of the money, 58% of the tickets on Carolina, and 37,000 on the game.
I have to respect the money and the opening line. I would lean Florida here, even though I love Carolina. I just think that was way too low of a number. So keep an eye on Florida Panthers there. Minus 105 probably. And the game that we already released early this morning, rotation number 33-34, Colorado at Vegas, the debut of Jack Eichel. Vegas opened up minus 110, and I got right now at Circa Colorado minus 136, minus 130 at Westgate, and minus 140 at South Point. We released Colorado at minus 127.
Yeah, this is 133 here, and 76% of the money, 74% of the tickets on Colorado.
All right, Scotty, as we do every show here, let's close it out with Webby's words of wisdom.
Well, I thought today what we would do is talk about what successful people have in common and do certain things. And one of the things they do is they develop intuition. And developing your intuition is about learning to trust that intuition and then act upon it. So in our business and in life, you get gut feelings. And these gut feelings come from experiences and the things that you develop over your life and the things that you put yourself through. And you need to follow their inner guidance as to how it leads you, but you got to learn to trust it. So there's ways and means to develop that. And that's what we're going to talk about. All the ideas needed to complete any task, to solve any problem, or achieve any goal are inside of you. You just have to get them out. And there's a way to do that. So a couple of things. One, you got to take the time to listen to your intuition, but you got to be in a mindset to make that happen. So you can't be in an excited state. It's got to be a relaxed state of mind. So that way you're opened to listening. You're opening to thought processes. And some people do that through meditation. Some people listen to waterfall sounds. Some people go sit at the beach and watch the ocean waves crash in. Some people just, look at the stars or whatever it is. But just whatever it is that gets you into that zone where you're nice and relaxed, so that then you can start asking yourself questions. And those questions need to be things like, should I? What is it? Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do these things? What should I do about whatever it is? So the other ones are, how can I do this? What can I do? What should I do next? Lots of different things that you ask yourself, these open-ended questions, and then you start to answer those open-ended questions. But more importantly, you don't want to just answer them in your head. You want to answer them with a little journal beside yourself, because you want to write down the answers and write them down as soon as you think of what they are. Because ultimately, then those answers start to form a plan of your life. And if you take action on that plan, you're going to see yourself working towards accomplishing all the goals and all the dreams and all the aspirations that you have. But you're doing it because you're developing the sequencing and thought process of your intuition. In our business, in sports gambling, oftentimes our intuition leads us away from bad bets. Something starts to tingle, or it upsets your stomach, or it does something when you sit there and go, oh, what if I do this and make this bet? Oh, that doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. But you got to trust that, because if you don't trust that, you're going to go right to the window with the conviction of all you got, and except for you got this little thing buzzing in your head, and you're going to ignore it, and you're going to put your money down and you go, holy crap, I just lost my money. And you don't want to do those things. But it's the same process. So you ask yourself the same questions. The questions are, what happens if I do this? Or what happens if I don't do that? Or should I do this? Or what should I do next? Or can I do this? Or what is it going to be to help me accelerate these different things? And write down your answers, because that's the intuition development that you need, so that those hidden alarm bells go off and then you don't take bad bets to the window. The idea is work on yourself as much as you possibly can, and then listen to yourself and develop that plan, and then put it into action and see where that takes you, because I guarantee it's going to take you a long way.
That's why we say Webby's words of wisdom. I have to battle with 95% of the people in the world when it comes to these lanes, because the bottom line is this: is when they win, it becomes a free swing on Sunday. They can't look at it and say, hey, that's my money. I just worked 6 days this week. On Monday, we cash out. Well, that's a free swing. But when they're losing 5 units, they want to get that back and at least break even. And usually what happens is they'll lose at least another 5 units. And then when you call them out on that, well, it's just entertainment. It's okay. So my point is, again, if you're not, I don't want to say disciplined, if you don't have money management, again, you have to decide, is this just fun, or are you really trying to make this, I don't even want to say a hobby, a second stream of income? Do you want to make this a part of your everyday life, where, hey, it's not just sit down, see what's on ESPN and play a game, or the wife's away this weekend and I got 100 games, I'm going to have a guy's weekend.
Yeah, no question. I mean, I just think that a lot of times we don't think about how to do certain things that are taken for granted. And if you were to work on developing intuition, I think a lot of times you're going to get those tingles like you get them when you're going through the board and go, oh, well, this is good. Oh, shit, there's something here that gives me the willies. And we do it because we've done it forever, and not only done it forever, but the experience and knowing where that kind of thing falls in. The newer people to this lanes and the people that do this stuff, you can do that too. But the amazing thing that I thought of when I was doing this and writing this one out was, you know what? The answer is always it's within you. If you want to go do something, you just got to pull it out. And you got to figure out, how do I pull it out? Well, ask yourself lots of questions and you'll get the answer. Sometimes you won't like it, but you'll get the answer you need. And then you got to do something with it.
I always say, if you can't look yourself in the mirror every morning, look yourself straight in those eyes, then you know you're up to someone. I get a nice chuckle if you watch an interview and you watch it real well, and when the person's answering a question and he's talking out of his other end, watch his eyes. His eyes over here somewhere. His eyes over here. They can't look you straight in the eye. And someone that calls himself the GOAT on social media, making all these crazy videos and stuff. He's a perfect example. He's got all these interviews all lined up, and they ask him the real questions. And then all of a sudden he turns his eyes like over here or over here, and he starts talking out of the side of his neck. And then he'll come back and he'll focus on you, So no lie detectors here, Scott.
Well, there you go, brother.
Want to thank everyone for watching, listening today and every day. Do us a favor, if you haven't already, turn on the notifications, follow us on social media, follow us on Twitter at EC Sports Invest, at Webby20 MLB. You'd be really doing us a big favor if you could jump on over to YouTube at East Coast Sports Investors. Just subscribe, hit the like button, smash the like button, turn on the notifications. And if you're on Twitch, if you are on Twitch, whether you're watching poker, watching Fortnite, or you're watching one of your favorite bands, or it's how to bake a cake, just go over to East Coast Sports Investors and follow us. We're going to start to do some live streaming on in-games. Hopefully we'll be doing it for March Madness. I know myself and Scott will be doing it for baseball. I'll bring the popcorn, the Cracker Jacks, and the hot dogs, and you guys bring the notepads and get ready to cash some tickets. And if not, just learn and ask some questions. That's what we're here for. But I'll always remember this. If you are wagering today, always wager responsibly. If you have a problem, pick up the phone. There's an 800 number available. Ask for help. Why? Because we care. Myself and Scott do, if no one else does. We want to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB, we wish you a blessed day. Enjoy the games. Have some fun with them. And myself and Scott will be back at it tomorrow morning with the Breakfast Bankroll.